kindly. Fresh air. I feel like she's a plant. Like, she's there intentionally to fuck over Nikolai somehow. And not like in the literal, like, fuck him over, you know what I'm saying? But like, when we emerged onto the street, she made a deep breath and pressed herself to me. We should catch a car. I doubt somebody would stop. Watch and learn. She laughed, walked closer to the roadway, and waved her hand. I can't believe my eyes. But a minute later, a car stopped next to her. What a car! An executive black sedan. Apparently I wasn't the only one struck by her beauty. Hop in. Nope. An executive black sedan, like I said, he's not in his right mindset. He's drunk as shit. The black car pulls up. Irene called to me merrily. Well, it seemed that the fairy godmother had lost her magic wand in a bet because Cinderella was going to come back from the ball with company. What's more, in a carriage instead of a pumpkin. First, I didn't even pay attention to the fact that the car's windows were blacked out. Well, Nikolai, you were obviously not pretending, Irene said calmly. What? Let's go. She nodded to the driver and looked at me with such antipathy that I started fidgeting in the seat. Irene, what's going on? Her drunk joyfulness vanished without trace. Yeah, no, she was totally an actor. My name is Irina Mostovaya. Major Irina Mostovaya. KGB, USSR. Only then did I realize she was speaking Russian. No hint of an accent. I mean, yeah, why would a Russian girl have an accent? No matter how long you learn a language that's different from your mother tongue, no matter how long you live in a foreign country, always be clear you weren't born and raised there. That's how it seemed to me, at least. Is this a joke? I still didn't fully realize what was happening. Am I still getting pussy tonight? Cause that would be awesome. No? That's what I'd like to ask you. What does this have to do with me? Do you really not recognize me? Mom? Imagine. She frowned. No, should I? Never mind. From here on, you only answer my questions and only with relevant and concise answers. Do you know what happened to your parents? Hey, we got in a car accident. They died. I remember I was sitting in the back, so I survived. Is that not true? I'm the one asking the questions here. And if you want to hear the answers, I expect a dialogue. I love drunken Nikolai, I said with unexpected determination. Irina bit her lip angrily. Yes, they died in a car accident, but their death wasn't a coincidence. That's all you need to know for now. What do you know about their work? So my parents were murdered because of their work? Yes. She gave a short response. Kobayashi Corporation. It wasn't a question. So what do you know? I know nothing. You're interrogating the wrong person. I'm just a student, and what's more, an orphan. You must already have realized that Kobayashi Corporation wouldn't be interested in a mere student. But why me? Irina didn't respond. Tokyo was slowly moving by on the other side of the windows. I had no idea where we were going, and I didn't care. It was unlikely that they were going to kill me. That performance at the bar is probably just a test. To my surprise, I was able to think clearly and analyze the situation with a sober mind. I'm still going to give him a drunk accent, though. And that's what we'd like to find out. So, all of these calls to my house were made by the corporation. No, they were from us. We wanted to warn you. But you didn't feel compelled to heed our warnings. What should I do then? Are you sure you don't know anything? Think again. Maybe your father told you something and you forgot about it. Or maybe he left something to you. Papers, documents. Nope. I really couldn't recall anything like that. We were a completely normal family. So, in your view, a family of soap engineers who fled the USSR and started working for the biggest transnational company in Japan is normal. Yep. Irina smirked. Apart from that, everything was normal. Was it? Or do you simply not remember? Even if... I couldn't believe my parents had been involved in something they could be killed for. Even if what you say is true, I don't know anything about that. I've never known. I find that hard to believe. You can believe whatever you want. I started using the polite version of Russian you without thinking. But still, it was all clearly related to me somehow. To my family. Kagome's father and Kobayashi Corporation. Having them believe as much was already enough. Nikolai, Irina sighed. Have you completely forgotten about your obligation to our motherland? I don't remember having any in the first place. Her eyes flashed, but she managed to stay calm and continued. So you think you have it better here, in the country that killed your parents? Why should I trust you anyway? Better? I don't know, but until recently, I've been living a peaceful life before you dragged me into this. We didn't drag you into anything. On the contrary, we were trying to protect you. What wonderful protection! What does it amount to exactly? Irina sighed. In order to receive something, you need to give something in return first. But I don't have anything. Stop mocking me, she shouted suddenly. You know everything. Just tell me what the Japanese want and we can bring you home. Or do you think you've managed to fool me? Why would you think they need something from me? If you were the ones they called. At the moment, it's none of your business. Then what do you expect from me? Irina calmed down in an instant and studied me with an unblinking stare for some time. Fine. We'll handle it ourselves. You keep your head down. Stay away from all this. That's it? That's simple. Would you like it to be complicated? I still have questions. Which won't be answered if you want to live. If you're telling the truth, then the less you know, the better. Only sources of information have value. Ordinary students are of no interest to anyone. But be prepared to remain under surveillance for a while. By you? Us, among others. Or do you want an accident to happen to you as well? I felt a strong dislike towards this woman. I couldn't believe that just 5 minutes ago I had been hoping for some quick sex with a random acquaintance. Although in a way I got what I wanted, except I was the one getting fucked. Excellent line. One more thing, behave normally. Nobody should know we've talked. Anything can expose you. Go to school, hang out with your friends, hang out with your girlfriends, drink, if nothing else. The car stopped smoothly. We've arrived. Get out. I can make out the silhouette of my house behind the window. Hope permits it didn't see me brought home like this. I had the time to think. And keep in mind, we do not repeat ourselves, so do yourself a favor and remember everything I've just told you. Yes, ma'am. I am in a great position to remember shit. The luxurious black sedan with blacked out windows disappeared around the corner, almost silently. I stood at the entrance to my yard, mindlessly watching it go. That's when I started to shake. Almost spasm in fear. How did I manage to remain outwardly calm and think straight? My legs carried me to my house on their own accord. I closed the door. And the garden door. And another one. And all the windows. I had so many windows. I wish I had a gun. I lay in bed staring into the darkness with dry eyes. It was obvious that the Czechists wouldn't come back. At least not today. What about the Japanese? If they kept me under surveillance, they could have seen me hop into that car. The only hope I had was that those KGB agents knew what they were doing. Kagome, what did you drag me into? Woo! We finally hit 1 week, boys. We finally hit 1 week. It's finally been a whole ass week since the game started. What does paperback's ink smell like? It smells like the freshly painted walls of a hospital, an administrative building, something utilitarian. It smells like the hectic rhythm of a big city. You can't fit Joyce, Steinbeck, Dostoevsky, or Kobo Abe into the tiny pages of paperback, which turn yellow after just a couple months. Their thoughts, expressed in sweeping prose, would be stunted and suffocated by the uneven, ugly lines. I much preferred solid, massive books, with hardcovers. Just holding them in your hands, feeling their weight, is enough to guess the endless wisdom hidden inside. But Japanese people like everything fast and simple, and have eagerly exported their convenience to the other countries of the free world. What would Leo Tolstoy say if he saw War and Peace retold in manga form? Of course, this arrogant attitude didn't fit my current situation at all. It's easy to engage in intellectual snobbery when the most danger you face in life is an argument over Jack Kerouac. But I was being threatened by very real, and more importantly, very much alive people. First Kobayashi Corporation, now the KGB too? I guess somewhere deep inside I wanted to restore my connection to the motherland, but I couldn't imagine, even in the worst of my nightmares, that the motherland not only remembered me, but had also been monitoring my life for the last 10 years. That is a big turn, won't lie. But the image of a sword-wielding woman grew hazy and soon faded away entirely together with the dream when I was snapped awake by the doorbell. Himitsu? I immediately jumped off the bed and aimlessly looked around my room, as if it was the first time I'd seen it. Everything was in order, but everything also seemed alien and somewhat artificial, like a copy, or like Crime and Punishment squeezed into the tiny body of a paperback. After a minute, once I'd already decided it had been part of my dream too, the bell rang. Think. I tried to rev up my still sleeping brain. Chegas don't use doorbells. This thought slightly calmed me down, and I walked to the door on stiff legs. Who's there? My voice was trembling, bad enough that it wouldn't go unnoticed. Who's there? I repeated when I didn't get an answer. Nico-kun? Jesus, you scared me. I opened the door and found Himitsu behind it, seemingly no less scared than I. Why'd you ring? Well, you locked yourself. Locked myself? At first I couldn't understand what she was talking about. After all, Himitsu had the key. And I looked at the bolt that I had locked firmly yesterday. What time is it? It's time to go to school. Nico-kun, is everything alright with you? Yes. I tried to smile but did a shitty job of it. Just not very used to being woken by my doorbell. Himitsu carefully walked after me to the kitchen, and looked around like she'd broken into the house. What? I exploded. You think I'm hiding someone here? No, just... I'm actually a bootlegger. I make moonshine in the basement. Nico-kun, you don't have a basement. Alright. Alright. Himitsu was making breakfast while I sat behind the table, feeling my armpits drip with sweat. So Irina told me to behave normally. Yeah, he's out here. I'm bootlegging. I got moonshine. That's damn normal, homie. In any other context, nothing would be easier. For almost a year and a half now, I've been surviving in a semi-vegetative state, not least because of Himitsu. But now, having met Ellie and Kagome, and having been granted an audience by Kobayashi Jun himself, was there anything normal left in my life? It was stupid to think that everything would just go back to normal, as if following the wave of a magic wand. And then there was Catherine, who we haven't talked about Catherine in a hot minute. She's been very absent once we started going on Kagome's route. Nico-kun! Himitsu called out to me, indignant. What? I'm asking, do you want toast with jam or butter? What, we have jam? You don't. She pouted. But I brought some. I didn't even notice whether she had a bag or a purse in her hands. Well, jam then. I found it hard to force myself to eat, but I also didn't want to provoke further questions from Himitsu. It's delicious. Thanks. By the way, do you remember the school festival is coming up, right? No, the festival was the last thing on my mind. I felt like a lone wolf avoiding other people. And of course, wolves are weaker than tigers or lions, but they don't perform at festivals. So what are you guys preparing? Well, we're thinking we'd organize a cafe. She responded, embarrassed. Cafe? Yeah, that's a good idea. A maid uniform would look great on you. Why do you assume I'll be a waitress? Himitsu asked with indignation, even placing her chopsticks down on her plate. Won't you? Maybe. If you want. I was actually going to cook. Oh, okay then. Naturally, I wasn't interested in this conversation in the least, but Himitsu seemed to find my opinion important. So, do you want me to wear that costume? Himitsu, sweetheart. He's too far gone. Come on, you gotta realize that. You walked in on him spending quality time with Kagome. Like, come on, you gotta realize he's too far gone. Like, do you want me to put on the maid outfit, Uwu? If that's what you want. Nico-kun. What? What's the right answer? Don't you dare even come to our class. And who will stop me? I won't step out of the kitchen. Alright, guess I'll check out the other girls. Glasses some good ones. Nico-kun. I managed to distract myself for a while. Once we were out in the street, I was seized by an incomprehensible fear. It felt like every lamppost hit a KGB agent or one of the corporation's people. Or maybe they'd already formed a queue to plant a bullet in my forehead. We didn't get to school too late or too early, and we were just in time to meet Himitz's classmates. She had stuff to do, and my only task for the time being was to behave normally, which more or less meant doing nothing, just existing. And of course, it could seem like I was lazing about, but on the cellular level, I was extremely busy. As always, Kyosuke greeted me merrily once I got to class. Well, Nick, how was your weekend? To be honest, I wish I'd spent it differently. Did something happen? Tell me! Imagine you go to an onsen with your family, only to find it's been taken over by terrorists. I have no clue what you're talking about, but I already want to hear every detail. At that moment, Kagome entered the classroom and with her head cast down, slipped over to her desk. I wanted to talk to her, of course, but I wasn't sure I'd be able to hide yesterday's conversation with Irina. With how impulsive she was, knowing about it wouldn't do her any good. Besides the impulsiveness, Kagome had also had an inquisitive acumen, and the very thought of her drilling glare made me feel uncomfortable. Come on, Nick, the bell's about to ring. Ask my secretary. After these words, the lesson finally started. But I still hadn't managed to come up with a way to talk to Kagome. Our last meeting hadn't exactly gone very well, even though I'd taken her side in the argument with Ellie. I couldn't get Ellie's upset face out of my mind. I was both blaming myself and taking on a part of Kagome's guilt. After all, it happened in my house, and as the host, it was my responsibility. As for Kagome, I didn't think she'd leave me alone anytime soon, so we'd have plenty of opportunities to talk. Thanks to Kyosuke, I knew which class Ellie was in, but that didn't make my task any easier. Looking from the outside, nobody would call me unsociable. Rude? Maybe. Or even insensitive. But I was good at avoiding unfamiliar situations and new people, which made me appear confident. And of course, someone who does nothing makes no mistakes. In any case, the thought of walking into another classroom and possibly talking to Ellie in front of everyone made me feel uneasy. It'd be one thing if she was a normal girl like Himitsu or Kagome. Luckily, I didn't find Ellie there, and nobody even glanced at me. Everyone had their own problems to worry about, and of course, I was about to go back when I remembered that she had a part of the school all to herself. Of course, I heard the chorus of one of Zedfiel's songs from the old classroom. Got you. Stormed into the room, and Ellie, caught off guard, almost dropped her guitar. Are you out of your mind? Okay, sorry. I really didn't know what had gotten into me. The impulse had spurred me to action before my prefrontal cortex had realized what was happening. By the way, we still haven't been introduced properly. Ellie immediately interrupted me. I heard that girl, what's her name, Iwamura, calling you Nick. That's enough from me. Yeah, of course, that's what I was expecting. What are you mumbling up there? I said my name is Nikolai, but yeah, you can call me Nick. So, Nick, what do I owe the honor? You're going to interrogate me again? She put the guitar on the piano, opened the curtains, and looked out the window as if expecting to see someone outside. Just wanted to apologize for yesterday, so you don't think I have something against you. I don't. Suddenly, Ellie turned to me and smiled cutely, very unexpectedly. Well, then, it's just, Kagome, Iwamura. She really is in a difficult situation. I suddenly felt a bit uncomfortable being alone with this girl. I tried to loosen the knot of my tie, but it was almost undone anyway. I feel sorry for her, but as I've already said, I can't help you to. Not to, it's not us. You've been protecting her with such passion, I thought. She gave me a sly look. Oh, do forgive me if I was mistaken. There's nothing between us, if that's what you mean. We didn't even know each other until a week ago. Aren't you in the same class? How is that possible? It just is, I grumbled. Talk to me a little longer and you'll see a lot of things you never thought possible. Okay, Nick, to be honest, I also overreacted yesterday. No, you didn't. Ellie raised her hand sternly, ordering me not to interrupt her. If a girl wants to apologize, you'd better hear her out. It doesn't happen every day. As you say, Ojo-sama. So I understand that your friend's issues are somehow related to my grandfather's business. But you should also understand that I am not your personal customer support. If everyone who had a problem with my grandfather tried to go through me, I hope you understand. I do. I did tell Iwamura that she shouldn't have done that. But the situation still didn't feel right, and it was bugging me. After all, this is about a human life, not a broken TV. What? Nothing. Forget it. Oh no, finish what you started. Sometimes she's so hard to talk to. I just want to say that there are different situations, and in some you should try putting yourself in another person's shoes. Of if I always have to worry about other people when am I supposed to live for myself? Well, ain't she an Ayn Rand? So you don't care that a person is missing. Killed, maybe. I finally lost my temper and raised my voice. There are people dying every minute. I was looking at her beautiful, fair face and couldn't understand whether this was cynicism or something else. But it's in your power to help some of them. Even if I could. She suddenly perked up. How do you know she's telling the truth? I talked to your grandfather in person. And how do I know that you are lying? Why would I? Why? She said it like she was weighing the word on her tongue. What if you need something from me? Like what? Money, status, power. The same thing everyone needs. What if you're thinking about... I got completely flustered and blushed. Do I look like the kind of person to think that far ahead? She carefully examined me from head to toe and smirked. Yeah, you don't. I was glad that the tension seemed to have subsided somewhat. You come here often, huh? I'd like to keep that between us. Sure. I got enough of an audience at my concerts. Suddenly Ellie appeared like a very lonely, simple, and understandable girl to me. I guess sorry to be the center of attention. I guess. And I found it hard to even step into your classroom today. I don't know why I'm saying that. She didn't respond, but the blush on her cheeks looked to me like it expressed gratitude. Alright, I better go. I hope your friend finds her father. I hope so too. I didn't want to tell her that Kagome clearly wasn't done with her, and this most likely wasn't our last conversation. I returned to the classroom right before the bell rang and took my seat. My eyes naturally shifted to Catherine, who was sitting close and looking out the window with a bored expression on her face. Who cares? Maybe I'd recently gained problems more important than unrequited love. We never sorted our relationship out. Who cares? Moreover, somehow the acute need to deal with it at any cost had disappeared as well. Yes. These thoughts made me uncomfortable, and I felt a slight shiver run down my back. On one hand, I was berating myself for being so faint-hearted. A small earthly issue cannot possibly eclipse the great feeling. On the other, somewhere deep inside, I was glad that all these spy games had at least somewhat lessened the intensity of my angst. I've been reveling in my unrequited love for Catherine for so long that as soon as I had to deal with something urgent, I simply didn't know what to do. Moreover, I had no clear strategy for how to react to a situation like this, or I'd have to move on. For the last year and a half, I've been living as if in anabiosis, with my thoughts stuck in that day when we saw each other last, and the day I learned that Katya had left forever. To some extent, I found existing like this comfortable, and Himitsu did her best to keep it that way. Naturally, Catherine's return had been a shock, not only because it broke the monotonous flow of black and white days. I found myself in a situation in which I had to face the source of my pain again, except that this Catherine was completely different from the one I used to know. Now, I can't say she had changed to the point of becoming unrecognizable in such a short time, but in everything, her actions, words, gestures, I was constantly catching glimpses of something unknown and unfamiliar. I desperately wanted a candid conversation with her, dreaming to explain or even prove something, but at the same time, I was terrified of a cold look and a sarcastic smirk as a response. Of course, a very different one from before. An adult experienced one that had lost its old shine and exchanged youthful enthusiasm for mature prudence. I was afraid to see Catherine like that, because in contrast with her, I looked even more infantile and neurotic than before. The unknown scares us the most. The majority of people would prefer to keep stewing in the cauldron of their daily understandable, stable hardships, rather than take a small chance to improve their lives. In the same way I'd gotten used to the status quo where we were separated by thousands of miles. It was comfortable enough to wear the badge of a man suffering for his love undeservingly, to pity myself and occasionally cry into my pillow at night. As a man with a wounded heart, I would always have support, if only from Himitsu. Why cure a disease that isn't life-threatening if it means the government gives you a nice pension? But I couldn't just ignore Katya's return to my life. I'd clearly been shown things that couldn't continue like this. I had to either deal with the real Catherine or stop this pathetic carnival of self-pity. We'd still have to sort out a relationship, even if that's where it would end. I patiently waited until the end of the day. I didn't want to bother her during a break. After all, such a conversation required more time.